What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the RPO College Football Podcast. You know who I am. I'm Jerome Jones, your humble host. And we got my man, the man, the Mr. Legend. You already know who he is because he is the man, the Mr. Legend, Mr. Ray Rogers. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
Good. 2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
2 weeks?
Yep.
To what?
College football.
Oh, let's go. You already had a little taste of some NFL football with some preseason. We got some more preseason coming up in the next few days for NFL, but college football is coming back, and that's what we're here for. We're here for the college football, man. We call that college football podcast for a reason because we love college football, and I'm excited to have some college football, man. It's been a while. The thing about us, Ray, is our season ends before the NFL season, so we have a longer wait. We have such a long wait. I mean, we do get to experience the draft, and that kind of ties into it too. We get to talk about that. But we don't get college football. And our college football ends December, slightly into early January, first week, 2 weeks, and then that's it. And then NFL they're from February and into August. We start in September, so it's been a long time.
If college football would learn and open up this playoff a little bit deeper, maybe we'd have a little bit more football. So
I agree. Yeah, just spread it out, man. Don't have to be all bunched in. I get like students are in class. I get all
just do it the regular way. Run the bowl season. Whoever shakes out them bowl games, you re-up everybody, relocate them, reshuffle the order of who you think should be a playoff team. Get like 8 teams, make a month tournament out of it. Why not?
I totally agree, and I can't wait for them to do that. They say it's supposed to be done in 2026, I believe. They're looking into it for if they were looking into it, it wouldn't be until 2026. I believe they said a few times from now, but I'm excited to at least they talking about it, and we talked about that in our previous podcasts. So if you haven't seen that, go back to our previous podcast on our YouTube channel. And if you hear live, we are doing live comments. I see a couple people in here right now. Thank you all for watching. So make sure if you want to put a live comment in here, you can definitely do that. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So just put a comment down there. We'll see it. We'll put it on the screen, and we can answer anything. But right now we're doing rankings. If you haven't seen our previous rankings, we did running backs, we did wide receivers, we did quarterbacks, we did tight ends. We're doing offensive line and defensive line / edge because we're trying to rush a little bit through it so we can get to the regular season on time. So let's get right to it, Ray. We're doing offensive line. Now this is a mixture of interior offensive line and tackles. So let's get right to it, Ray. Ray, you can start at number 10. Who you got, sir?
I have Anton Harrison from Oklahoma as my 10th tackle.
Wow.
Okay. I actually have a list of 10 tackles and 10 interior linemen. So I don't know if you want to cover all that today or not.
Just run through them then real quick then.
Okay, you got it. And then at number 9, I have Carter Warren from Pittsburgh, 6'5", 320. And all these guys project basically to at least be drafted as tackles, where they all shake out. Some of them are a little bit shorter, don't know arm lengths, all the little trinkets like that. So I'm just going to give you who I think. I think they'll all be drafted to be tackles. So number 8 is Cooper Beebe from Kansas State, 6'4", 320. Again, they all have the right size. Usually guys under 6'5" may move inside. It kind of depends on what their arm length is like, though. So
yeah.
Number 7, I had Broderick Jones from Georgia. Number 6, I had Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse. Number 5, I have Zion Nelson from Miami. Number 4, Connor Galvin from Baylor. Number 3, Darnell Wright from Tennessee. Number 2, I have Pete Skoronski from Northwestern. And number 1, I have Paris Johnson from Ohio State.
Paris Johnson. Okay, cool. So I'm going to run through some names real quick that sticks out to me. Zion Nelson from Miami is a pretty good one. Miami haven't been doing good with their defensive guys, so I got him. Brederick Jones from
Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah,
he's a good one right there. Paris Johnson, obviously Ohio State. Yeah. Dewan Jones, Ohio State. One of my bigger guys for the tackles is Peter
Skoronski.
Skoronsky from Northwestern.
Right.
Northwestern don't usually get a top guy in these rankings, but man, he's a beast. He's a big physical guy that can do run the blocking and pass blocking very well. I think that he's going to be a top name to look at, and not a lot of people know about Northwestern like that. So right now, it's not people not talking about him, but watch during draft time, it's going to be a lot more people talking about him.
In most, I think that Skoronski is a day 2 pick early on. If maybe you take him end of day 1, we'll see. Again, until we find out like what legitimate arm length is, reshuttle, all that stuff, we won't know exactly. I've seen some people project Skoronski as a guard. Same thing with Cooper Beebe from Kansas State. I've seen people project him maybe as a guard because they're like forge.
Reasonable.
But I mean, a lot of that depends on the arm length. If you have the arm length, a 6'4", 6'5" guy is fine to tackle. If you don't, then you might have to move him inside.
Yeah. And Skoronski, I think I say his name right? Skoronski.
Skoronski, yep.
Skoronski. He's one of those guys that I project to be like one of those normal kind of Senior Bowl kind of guys that they're don't get a lot of buzz until they get to the Senior Bowl, and he's one of those guys. There've been a couple of guys that went to the Senior Bowl the last couple of years. Trevor Pinion, one of our guys that we interviewed, which I'm forgetting his name, which is crazy. But they go to the Senior Bowl and they show out, and then they get more eyes on them. So I think he's probably one of those type of guys that goes to the Senior Bowl.
And all these guys right now play left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if that's what they do when they move up into the next level. But for right now, they're all playing left tackle. So, and they're all good football players. So,
Right, correct. All right, let's get into the interior offensive lineman. Let's go.
Are you there?
Yeah. I was waiting for you.
Okay. Number 10, I have Alex Forsythe from Oregon. He's a center. He's a good football player. Again, I don't really pay attention to where these guys may be drafted. All these guys will be draftable players, though. I mean, but I don't know exactly where again until the season shakes out. At number 9, I have Broderick Van Pran from Georgia, another center. Number 8, Layden Robinson from Texas A&M, guard. Emil, this name is Ekiyor. Yeah, I know it's weird. It's Ekeiyor. Yeah, Ekiyor. He's a good player though. He plays guard for Alabama, so he's a good player. But his name is really weird to say.
I'm the last person to ask how to say a name.
Yeah, well, Ekiyor, something like that. But he's a guard. He's definitely an inside player. He's only 6'3", weighs a little over 300 pounds. But he's plays guard at Georgia. So I mean, in Alabama. So obviously, he's a good football player. And he's probably a pretty good athlete. Number 6, I have Andrew Voorhees from USC. He's another guard. I think with USC's offensive line has not played well, but I don't think it's because they don't have anybody that can play there. I think it's scheme fit, guys not being used the right way. Again, if I have a bigger offensive line like USC does, I would probably try to run the ball a little more than they did, but with the new coach, they're not going to do that. So, they're going to throw the ball.
Like Raleigh.
Yeah, they're going to throw the ball. So, at number 5, I had Matthew Bedford from Indiana. He's the one guy who I think is really Indiana's offensive line is not very good, but he's the one player that is pretty good on it. So, number 4, Jared Patterson from Notre Dame, who has played center last year, but they're talking about moving him to guard.
Yeah.
If he plays well at guard, it may even improve his draft stock because then he could play guard and center at a high level, and you don't have to project it. You know what I mean? So, number 3, I have John Michael Schmidt from Minnesota, another center. Ricky Stromberg from Arkansas, center. And Osiris Torrance from Florida, a guard, number 1. So
Okay, nice. All right, so I'm gonna list off some of my guys as well. The guy you just talked about now, Cyrus Terrence.
Torrance, yeah.
He's one of the guys. John Michael Swarsmick.
Schmidt. John Michael Schmidt. Yep.
Schmidt.
Schmidt.
Smith.
Yep.
Minnesota. Caleb Chandler from Louisville. I really like him as well. Michael Voorhees from USC, like you was talking about, Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Really good guy right there. I really like Jared Patterson though. A guy that, again, I'm not able to really follow and watch offensive linemen like Ray does and be very hands-on and understand the position as much as he does. But I know that Patterson was definitely a guy I've been hearing a lot about. So, Notre Dame got a good squad over there. Another guy I just kind of want to mention, but he's out for the season with a torn ACL. Is Christian Mahogany from Boston College. Your love of a team over there in Boston. Good guy. It's unfortunate that he's going to be out for the season, but I think he could have been a guy that had top rated high on my list as well. But again, he's out for the season, so we'll see. How that goes. I believe he's a senior, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a senior, and he's a good, technically sound football player, like most Boston College players are.
Correct.
I would not call him he's not as athletic as some of these guys, though. So.
Yeah. You don't always have to have him athletic. I mean, it helps now in today's NFL, but like, there's a lot of non-athletic.
You can hide a guard that isn't a great athlete and let him just run block a lot.
Yeah,
it's getting harder to hide centers though that aren't athletic, dude.
I agree with that.
How many teams are using them out and zone read and blocking and calling out blocking assignments? You need to have either a really athletic guy there or a really smart guy who understands how to block angles. So,
yep, I agree. All right, well, that's going to be it for the offensive line. We're going to go into the defensive line now. So, interior and edge. Ray, you want to start us off with that?
You know what, Jerome? I did them combined. I have tackles and ends kind of listed. And then I have like some other guys, like I did guys that are going to play defensive line for me at the edge spot or defensive ends. Yeah. And I did some interior tackle play. And then I also did top 10 linebackers. And the only reason I did that is because like Will Anderson is a top 3 pick in the draft. But he's not going to be – if you could play him at defensive end if you want. But if you take him away from outside linebacker, I think you're making a mistake. I think that we all know Josh Allen is from Jacksonville, played in Kentucky. Similar player. Will Anderson's a better player and a little bit of a better athlete, which sounds crazy to say because Josh Allen's a pretty good athlete. But I think the comparison is if you don't let them play that outside linebacker, let them freelance a little bit, you're not letting them play what their strengths are going to be. Yeah. You can line Will Anderson up at outside right end and say, go get the quarterback. And he'll be all right. But he won't be as outright if he would have just been out there causing havoc from an edge setter from an outside linebacker spot. So
all right, so let's just call your linebackers 3-4 linebackers. How about that?
You got it, man.
All right, cool. All right, let's get through it.
Well, I have a 10B here. My 10 at defensive tackle is Jacqueline Roy from LSU, a really good football player, 6'3", 315. My next guy at 10 is Hubakuk Bodano from defensive end from Pittsburgh. Again, a guy who's long, somewhat athletic, but a good football player. And again, a guy who will play defensive end, plays strong side defensive end probably. Number 9, I have Saaki Ika, a defensive tackle from Baylor, a 2-gap penetrating guy who's just a animal. Like the kid is just an animal, man. So number 8, I have Girvin Dexter, defensive tackle from Florida. Number 7, I have Kalaji Cansey for defensive tackle from Pittsburgh. Number 6, defensive end from Ohio State, Zach Harrison. Number 5, I have Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame. Probably the funny thing is he's probably Notre Dame's most known on defensive lineman.
Mhm.
They've had a really good recruiting class this year come in.
Yeah.
There's some people who think he's maybe the best second or best third defensive end prospect they have right now. But Foskey had a really good year last year, is very productive, and should be a first-round pick coming up this year. Number 4, I have Brian Barisi, defensive tackle from Clemson, very good football player.
Mhm.
B.J. Ojalori, defensive end from LSU. Miles Murphy, defensive end from Clemson. And probably the best interior lineman to come out in a couple of years, Jalen Carter, defensive tackle from Georgia. So,
Yep. You put Miles Murphy as an end or interior?
an end.
Okay.
I will put Miles Murphy as strong side defensive end. I think you can move him inside, but I think he's a really athletic edge setting type of a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, scheme specific. If you was that.
No, I was about to say I was confused for a little bit. I thought you was paying him at interior.
I mean, you could probably use him in either spot.
You can. You can put him in, but
he plays end for Clemson, but they do play like different, like odd and even front. So
correct.
you can use him in either spot. But I have him as listed as a strong side defensive end. So I mean, again, same thing with There's no other guys like that as quite as big as him. Zach Harrison's like 270 pounds, pretty long, athletic kid. But he's the only other one that is that big that I have projected as like, because you need that strong side defensive end to run any kind of defensive front to. So
yeah, no, it's true. All right, let me list off a couple of guys I have here. Excuse me. Starting off, so I'm doing strictly defensive interior defensive lineman right now. So I'm just gonna name off a couple guys. I got your guy Allison. I'm sorry, Allison. Jason Alamola from Notre Dame. He is a New Jersey native, so he's a Jersey guy. A guy that I think he's going to be good. He didn't play last year because he got injured, so I think he's going to have a good comeback year, hopefully, and he come back strong. And Notre Dame can relive up to having that good defense that they had a few years ago. Another guy is Lucas Van Noy Ness from Iowa. A good defensive guy there. He's very versatile guy. Come off the edge and can be interior. I think he's more interior though. A guy that you already mentioned is Brian Breese from Clemson. He was the number 1 recruit a couple of years ago. I think he's still going to be really good. I actually think that Clemson's defense is going to be really, really good this year. I mean, I think they're going to outshine their offense. I really do think that, which is another reason why I think DJ Ugaluluge however say his name, might be okay this year because the defense is going to be really good. Next guy I'm going to talk about is Tulu Tupulutu from USC. The guy that's coming in there is going to be really good. He get a lot of tackles for losses. I really like him right there. The kid from Pittsburgh, you talked about Kalajai Clancy, Pitt, and Jalen Carter from Georgia. Obviously, that's the number 1 guy. Really good guy. Played on that crazy defensive line. It's his turn to really step up and be one of the leaders on our defensive line now with Jordan Davis and the other kid Carter.
Yeah.
Going in the draft. So I'm really excited to see how that defensive line is with Georgia, because it's still again, I talked about it last week. Even though Georgia lost a lot, they still got a lot of good pieces on that defense. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they do and how they play.
I mean, even with all the guys they had last year, you could argue that Jalen Carter is better than all of them. So
yeah, That's true. That's definitely true. Just to get a little side note, me and Lamarcus Bailey, a guy that been on our podcast for a couple times, right? You know who Lamarcus is. We was talking for a few hours last night about just football in general, and I just ran across a list, and it had Alabama 1, obviously, Ohio State 2, and Georgia 3, and he was understanding of it, and I was too. But also, I was just saying, like, don't sleep on Georgia just because they lost a lot, because they still have a lot of players that's coming behind them. So, I
They
think
do, but you got to also remember Georgia has to compete in a better conference right now. So,
exactly.
who is Ohio State competing with?
Michigan.
No. They'll compete against Michigan. They'll compete against Penn State, but they'll be better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the level of competition.
Georgia's not going to be better than Alabama this year because really, without a couple injuries, they weren't better than Alabama last year. So,
No, I agree. So yeah, so that's my little spill with that. All right, let's get to the edge rushers, right? Who you got there?
Well, for my edge guys, now I have linebackers in general.
Okay.
Now, do you want just the edge guys from the linebackers?
However you set it up.
I'm going to give you the linebackers. I got
just list them out how they are.
So yes, I got. Well, I'm going to start 1 to 10 with this because I want to end with my number 10 guy. Okay. So I have Will Anderson obviously as my number 1 edge player in this year's draft. I mean, the guy had 520 plays behind the line of scrimmage last year. I mean, that's just. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like I'm sorry, 52 plays behind the line of scrimmage last year. So I mean, like 34 and a half TFL, 17 and a half sacks. I mean, that's just. I mean, it's unheard of. I mean, so again, I think that somebody will maybe think about drafting him and put him at defensive end, and he'll be okay. But if you put this kid in a 3-4, he's going to be a nightmare. He's going to be unstoppable. So, you can do whatever you want with him. That's what I would do with him. Number 2, I have Jeremy Banks. Now, he could play outside linebacker, and he could probably get to the quarterback, but he's more of an off-ball guy. He's a thumper. He's a former running back. So he actually he's a good tackler, but he can cause some heck. He can get to the quarterback too. He's definitely an edge outside linebacker, but I'm not sure if he doesn't have the size to play an end spot. So he's absolutely an outside linebacker. So, okay. Number 3, I have Noah Sewell, inside linebacker from Oregon. Again, probably the best pure middle linebacker in this year's draft. And again, a good football player, 114 tackles last year. So very good football player. Number 4, I had Trent Simpson from Clemson. Again, another guy who can do a lot of different things. He can get to the quarterback. He can play some slot. He could actually, play the run very well. So he's an off-ball outside linebacker, weak side outside linebacker. Number 5, I had Nolan Smith, who is a little bit like Will Anderson in it. He could play some defensive end, but if you let him play outside linebacker, he'll be a better football player and cause more havoc against the opposing offenses. Number 6, I have Drake Thomas from NC State, a little bit of a smaller guy, 6 foot, 230 pounds, but guy's just a tackling machine for Georgia, so I like him a lot. And, of course, we talk about how well Georgia's defense has been playing for the last couple of years. So, number 7, I have Henry Totoa from Alabama.
Yeah.
Again, a guy who's played some inside, has played some off-ball outside linebacker. I think he could do either. I think if you play him in a 3-4 and let him use his instincts in that other inside linebacker spot, probably where he would flourish, and that would be his strength. Number 8, I have Ian Pace from Cincinnati. First year with the Bearcats this year. Last year, played at Miami of Ohio, had 125 tackles and 13 TFL. So, again, the kid is just an excellent football player and probably going to play a lot of football for Cincinnati this year. Number 9, I had the Marvian Overshaw from Texas, a long, rangy outside linebacker guy, very athletic, who could rush the quarterback, but at 220 pounds, probably be better off just playing some off-ball linebacker. 10A, I have Jack Campbell from Iowa, tackling machine. Some people have him higher than this. I worry about he's a fairly quick, twitchy athlete. I don't know if he's going to be really long, so I have him at 10. And then at number 10B, I have Bumper Pool, my favorite name of all those guys. His name is from Arkansas. His name is Bumper Pool.
Bumper
Pool.
Bumper Pool.
Yes.
Interesting.
6'3", 230-pound tackling machine. I developed it. So, yes.
Also awesome. All right, so I'm gonna name some guys off my list right here. Number 1 would be Brenton Cox Jr. from the Florida Gators. I think that he's a guy that's gonna be. I think he struggled a little bit last year, honestly, if I'm not mistaken. But I do think he can have a bounce back year. He has the talent there. He has the athleticism to get there. So I really want to see how he does. BJ Ojalori, I believe he's the brother of the edge rusher that's playing for the Giants right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So that lineage and that lineage right there, he plays really good. He does play good though. It's not like he just have that, but have him on there. Will McDonald from Iowa State. I believe you mentioned him as well, Ray.
You did.
Xavier Thomas from Clemson, another guy that is one of those Clemson defensive players. I'm telling you, this defense is going to be really good because they got a really good team over there. Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame. Again, we talk about Notre Dame's defense as well. Another guy that's going to be really good on that edge. I got Zach Harris from Ohio State. Miles Murphy from Clemson, another Clemson guy that, I talked about him a little bit earlier. And then to get to some of my top guys, Zion Tupuole Fatui from Washington. Really good edge rusher. I hate these names. I really do because I'm terrible at them. But Zion is a really good edge rusher out there over in the West. Nick Herbeck from Wisconsin. Wisconsin consistently have good linebacker and edge rushers. He's another one that I think is going to be really good in the long run. And then my top 3, a guy that I don't think, Ray, I don't know if you mentioned him, Ray. And tell me if you did. Or tell me if you did. But I don't think you mentioned him, a guy I really like. And he's on a team that nobody would ever think to even have a player on their top 10 from this team. Andre Carter II from Army.
No, you know what, Jerome? I did have him just outside my list, though.
Really?
He was on my radar, though.
I love him, dude. Like I know he doesn't play a lot of big competition, so that's the thing. But his motor is dumb crazy. He's fast. Like he don't even feel like a Army player. Like to be honest, he don't feel like an Army player. He feel like he's supposed to be on a different team. Just the way he plays. Like Army, usually have good players, but like the only time you really hear about their players, like as far as like production or even like draft, is like their prime position guys, wide receiver, quarterback, running back. Obviously quarterback because they usually run the ball with the quarterback a lot. But for him to be an edge rusher and his name popped up to me because of the fact that he's from Army. And I'm just like, wait, there's an Army guy that looking good. And I looked at some of his tape from last year when I heard his name, and I was just like, man, this kid is athletic, man. Like how he end up only on Army, like, things happen. I understand that, but I was just crazy. I like him a lot. Probably a lot higher than a lot of people, and hopefully he continues that. I know the competition is not the greatest, but we've seen guys from smaller schools be successful too. So, number 2 obviously is Nolan Smith, a guy I got to meet at IG Academy a few years ago. again, Georgia Bulldogs defense still got a lot of good players. He's going to be a good edge rusher. Like Ray said, got to keep him and our number one guy, Will Anderson. You got to keep those guys in that 3-4 linebacker kind of mode because they can do multiple things. So I like both of those guys. Will Anderson's a guy that had a lot of controversy last year because a lot of people thought he should have got a Heisman vote. I'm not gonna not say he shouldn't have, but I'm glad that Aiden Hutchinson did get it. So let's just say that. Anyway, go ahead, Ray. You about to say something?
No, like again, I mean, I love Will Anderson and Nolan Smith. Both exciting athletes. I just think that if you try to just let them be just edge guys as defensive ends, I don't want them getting into hand-to-hand combat with offensive tackles that are like bigger than them.
Yeah,
I want them to be able to play a wide 9. They play 5 tech at outside as far outside as I really want them to be.
mm-hmm.
Just way they can cause havoc and get to the quarterback. Even dropping covers if they want, if they have to, shading it flat, they can do all those things. But both of them guys are better off trying to make plays in your backfield. I just think if you put one of them guys at 235, 240 pounds against a 320-pound offensive lineman, sometimes they're just going to get squashed and wiped out of play.
Yeah.
So why would you do that? That's all.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's like telling me, and I'm not calling these guys Lawrence Taylor. Let's pump the brakes. But if you have a guy like that, or Ricky Jackson, Sam Mills. No, not Sam Mills. A guy to play with Sam Mills on the Saints. I can't remember the other guy's name. That's Sewell. You have those guys, man. Yeah, could they play defensive end? They could. They probably would do a decent job. They'd probably get like.
Who was the name you said from the Saints?
Pat Sewell.
Yeah.
Play with Ricky Jackson, the other outside linebacker, on the other side of Sam Mills, actually.
Yeah.
That's why I was a little bit confused with them, too. Like, again, you don't want them guys getting locked up by offensive tackles. You want them to move inside, try to shoot a gap between a tackle and a guard, or just go wide 9 and just try to go right to the quarterback. You don't want them to be engaged with guys that are like 100 pounds heavier than them. That's all. So
yeah, that's the issue I'm having with Hassan Riddick right now. I just hope they don't put his hand in the dirt. But also, I don't want him to.
You know what, Jerome? It's okay on certain plays.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
It's okay, but not like again. That's a great example. You don't want Hassan Riddick lining up a right defensive end on every play because you're not doing him justice if you try to do that with him. So.
No, I totally agree. Yeah. Yeah. So, Ray, you said you had a third list, or you combined them already?
No, I did it already.
Yeah,
I
wasn't sure.
I had linebackers, then I had the linemen, and then I had the interior offensive line and the offensive tackles.
Definitely. So yeah, man. So we're gonna actually end it a little early today. You know, we usually have these hour-long ones, but we're gonna end it a little early today. Me and Ray's a little tired today. We're a little tired today, so we're gonna end it a little early. But thank you guys for getting on. I see a couple of you guys was on here. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you haven't already, make sure you go check us out on our website, InsideTheHashes.com. You find all the content and follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Inside the Hashes. Also, make sure you check us out on YouTube. We're really live right now. And maybe some people are a little shy because I did see people in here. I see y'all when y'all come in here. Maybe you're shy. Maybe you don't want to talk about nothing here on live and you want to be live on here. That's fine, totally fine too. Or maybe you coming back to see us later on. You go on our YouTube channel, leave a comment. We do comment back on there, and we love to hear from you guys, man, for real. So make sure you do that on YouTube. And while you're there, definitely go like and subscribe right there. And as you see, right under Ray, can you do me a favor and show everybody where that link is? Right there.
Right there.
Hit that QR code on your phone. It takes you to all our social media, so you don't have to keep searching, and everything is right there. Just do a quick little scan. Just scan that right there, and you can go straight to our stuff. So make sure you do that. You can find all of us on there, and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps us out and support us as well. We got a lot of player interviews and players that we talk about today. We interview some people going to the college football in the future. We interviewed them as well. So make sure you go check that out on and Inside the Hashes at youtube.com. I'm Jerome Jones, your humble host. That is Ray Roberts. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. We'll see you next time. And peace. Stay safe and tell somebody you love them. Peace.